Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 29th Executive Committee of PEMSEA, which we have expanded to include country and non-country partners to discuss our regional plans and projects in the next 5 years. My name is Karen C., the Secretariat Coordinator of the PEMSEA Research Facility, who will serve as the Secretariat for this meeting. We are pleased to organize this event at one of the training centers of the DNR or the Department of Environment and Natural Resources of the Philippines as the host of the PEMP headquarters. May I now turn over the floor to Dr. Van Molinit, Council Chair of the East Asian Seas Partnership Council, to chair the council session of this meeting and deliver the
section chairs and Mr. De Laita, intergovernmental section co-chairs. I'd like also to take these opportunities to acknowledge the present Anthony Analisa Rebu Altate, the national focal points of the PEMSEA in the Philippines and undersecretaries for finance, information system, and climate change of the DANR, who is joining online together with our other country partners, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Japan, Laos, PBR, Singapore, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. The non-country partners, the International Environmental Management of Enclosed Coastal Sea Centers, IPCA, Korea Maritime Institute, Korea Maritime Environment Management Corporation, Northwest Pacific Action Plans, Norwegian Institute for Water Research, All Spirits Fund Limited, PEMSEA Network of Local Governments, and Clemo Marine Laboratory, and representative of the PEMSEA Network Learning Centers. My gratitude go to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources for the hosting the PEMSEA Secretariat for the past 29 years and for graciously lending us the facility for our meeting this afternoon. Today council section is a fortunate time for fulfill our region's commitment through adoptions of the SDS SEA Implementation Plan 2023-2027 in support of the Ocean Decade of Action coming from the hill of climate change COP27 in Asia and moving forwards the CBD COP25 in Malta. We are also pleased to inform the body of the approval of the Integrated River Basin Management or IRBM projects by governing councils of the Global Environment Facility, GEF. This 5-year, six-country project will start in January next year with the objectives of applying the source-to-sea approach in select river basins in Cambodia, Indonesia, Latvia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam to reduce pollution and preserve ecosystem services. This will be the first regional initiative in Southeast Asia to address common water resources issues at the basin and sub-basin levels based on the success and lesson of the implementation of the Integrated Coastal Zone Management or ICM approach. This will also be the first major project after several years where we will engage Malaysia as the project partners and create IRBM where we will engage IRBM learning centers in the regions, complementing our ICM learning centers. This project will be one of the key programs that will be implemented under the SDA Implementation Plan 2023-2027. I look forward to interactive and engaging meeting this afternoon. For the agenda item number 1, which is adoption of the agenda of the Council and Technical Section, as indicated in the document number 6/29/01B, I would like to request the Secretary to flash and present the agenda on the screen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the second agenda item of this meeting, we will be presenting the membership updates regarding the PEMSEA Network of Learning Centers or PNLC as detailed in document number EC/29/docs/0A. TRF will present an overview of the newly designated PEMSEA Learning Centers, namely Catanduanes State University and the Lasal das Marinas of the Philippines. By virtue of their designation, they will be inducted as members of the PEMSEA Network of Learning Centers through the signing of the PNLC Charter, which states the ground rules on membership and operations of the network. Then, for the third agenda item, we will be having a presentation from Dr. Jon Wittner, the president of the PNLC, regarding the approved PNLC Operational Plan 2022 to 2027. This was approved by the PNLC members this November 2022. This is for reference of the council session. Then for the technical session to be chaired by Dr. Keita Furukawa, we will be having 2 agenda items. First, the 2023 to 2027 implementation plan of the Sustainable Development Strategy for the Seas of East Asia, or SDS-SEA, as detailed in document numbers EC/29/doc/04A and 04C. We will be presenting the updates on the formulation process of the implementation plan, as well as the revised third draft of this implementation plan for review or comments and hopefully the approval of the meeting. And then for the 5th agenda item, we will be presenting the draft regional strategy for biofouling management in the East Asian Seas region for review or endorsement of the meeting. This is expounded in document number EC/29/doc/05. This is an opportunity also for our technical session members to nominate or recommend other possible participants in the regional task force in charge of developing this regional strategy. Then for the resumption of the council session, we will be discussing other business for consideration or reference of the session. Then finally, we will conclude both council and technical sessions. We request the council session to review or approve this provisional agenda. If there are no comments or suggestions for the meeting, we hereby call for the approval of this agenda. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you again, Tessie. As we are remark on this very important task, I urge everyone to actively engage and work together to deliver another productive PC meeting for today. But therefore, before we move to the next agendas, the secretary requests that we will officially meeting to take photos. And we see, please direct us on the photo section.
Sure, Mr. Chair. For our photo session opportunity, we would like to invite first our face-to-face participant here at the BMP Training Center to face toward the camera and smile while remaining in your respective seats. As Tom here will go around and capture your photos. We will be having 3 shots. Okay. First, at the side. On the count of 3, kindly face the camera and smile. 1, 2, 3. And then for the center aisle, for our EC members particularly. Okay. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Then for the last aisle, kindly face the camera. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much, everyone. For our proper group photo session, we will be doing this at the end of the meeting. For our online participants, kindly turn on your video. Face towards the camera. And then smile on the count of 3. Again, kindly turn on your videos. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Then another group photo, please, to capture the other participants. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much, everyone. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you again. This is for the next agendas, item number 2, namely partnership in PNLC as a detail in the document EC/39/docs/02A. I would like to request Ms. C again of the PRF to provide overview of Catanduan, the state universities and the La Salle universities. The marinas of the university as the newly designated learning centers and facilitate their inductions as a PNLC members through the signing of PNLC's centers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to present first an overview of our newly designated PEMSEA Learning Centers. I am also pleased to inform everyone that we have on board with us, joining online, the representatives of CATSU and DLSUD of the Philippines. We have from Catanduan State University, Dr. Ramon Felipe Sarmiento, the Vice President for Research, Extension, and Production Affairs. And then for the La Salle Dasmariñas, we have Dr. Cristina Salibay, the Vice Chancellor for Academics and Research. These learning centers have sent their applications this year for review of PRF as the interim secretariat of the PNLC. These documents have been sent as part of the EC meeting documents sent last October to the Partnership Council. Their applications were assessed based on the following criteria: number of staff with relevant knowledge and skills, presence of degree programs on coastal and marine science or management, presence of relevant programs and projects at the local and national levels, such as provision of training and technical support, as well as availability of facilities and equipment for training on campus and their satellite offices. In the case of Catanduanes State University, we are pleased to inform our partnership council that we have expertise on a wide number of fields, such as natural resource assessment, ecosystem restoration, particularly on mangrove forests and coral reefs, indigenous resource knowledge, such as the conduct of participatory resource assessment, and aquaculture, climate change, particularly from their vantage point as an island province, and then disaster risk reduction and management, and fisheries management. We offer two relevant degree programs, the Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science and Fisheries. They were also involved in various national and local government engagements, particularly the Philippine National Aquasilviculture Program, coastal wetland related research and aquaculture initiatives of the Philippine government, as well as the Sustainable Coral Reef Ecosystem Management Program of the DNR. They have also published papers in several local, national, and regional symposiums or journals. In addition to this, their staff are also members in various associations or councils on marine biology, fisheries, education, and research at the national and regional levels. They have also established a Center for Island Climate Change Solution, as well as the Catanduanes Marine Multi-Species Fish Hatchery Research and Production Center, as depicted on the screen for you. On the part of De La Salle University Das Marinas of the Philippines, their staff has a wide variety of expertise as well, this time on biology, chemistry, and other physical sciences, natural products, especially biotechnology and medicine, environmental planning, modeling and monitoring, conduct of environmental impact assessment for infrastructure and other urban planning related concerns, pollution control, circular economy, climate change, and development communication. We offer 3 degree programs. First is the Bachelor of Science degree with major in environmental science, then the Masters of Science in Environmental Science, and a PhD in Biology program. They have been involved in various project engagements, one of which is a PEMSEA project, which has recently concluded, namely the ASEAN-Norwegian Cooperation Project on local capacity building for reducing plastic pollution in the ASEAN region. They have also been involved in other pollution control related projects, such as the solid waste collection efficiency of local government units near Manila Bay, which is a USAID funded research. They have also been engaged in the Green Philippines Islands of Sustainability or GPIOS project of the European Union under the New Switch program. Their staff has held leadership roles in various networks, such as the Philippines Network of Educators on Environment, the Solid Waste Management of Association of the Philippines, the Pollution Control Association of the Philippines, or PICAP. And they have also developed various textbooks and workbooks on environmental science as part of their development communication efforts to increase capacity building for coastal and marine resource management in the region. They have also served as resource speakers on environmental education, climate change, blue carbon, waste management, sustainable lifestyle as part of their circular economy efforts, biodiversity, and biotechnology. And there are also members in local, national, and global associations on environmental planning, wildlife conservation, pollution, science, and education. And they have established an environmental resources management center. I would like to take this opportunity to call to the floor our representatives from these two universities, particularly Vice President Ramon Felipe Sarmiento of Catanduanes State University and Vice Chancellor Cristina Salibay of De La Salle Dasmariñas for the signing of the PNLC Charter. We would like to invite these designated representatives to prepare their respective copies of the PNLC Charter, kindly sign them, and then afterwards present them to the camera on front for our photo session opportunity. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then another photo, please. 1, 2, 3. And then one last shot. 1, 2, 3. We would like to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Ramon Felipe Sarmiento of Catanduanes State University to deliver the acceptance speech on behalf of their university. The floor is yours, Dr. Sarmiento.
Good afternoon, everybody. To our esteemed members of the Executive Committee of the PEMSEA under the leadership of Dr. Van Moniz, to our counterparts in the PEMSEA network of learning centers, I am pleased to convey these words of acceptance in behalf of our President, Dr. Patrick Alain T. Azanza. The Catanduanes State University, or the CATSU, is elated to receive its designation as a PEMSEA Learning Center. As the only university in Catanduanes province in the Philippines, one of its foremost objectives has always been the extension of support to as many Catanduanes as possible. Being an island province, Catanduanes has its surrounding seas as a major source of livelihood for the people. Hence, the establishment of CATSU as a PEMSEA Learning Center will further empower us in fulfilling our commitment to sustainable conservation and development of marine life and environment, which will be definitely valuable to the communities of our island province. CATSU will ensure the integration of PEMSEA objectives, especially in supporting the implementation of the Sustainable Development Strategy for the Seas of East Asia, otherwise known as the SDSC, as manifested in the following. First, the nurturance of our personnel with relevant knowledge and skills in the fields. Second, the presence of degree programs that are related to integrated coastal management, or ICM, or coastal and marine science. Third, the presence of relevant programs and projects that support the implementation of the SDSC at the local, national levels, such as the provision of training and technical support. And finally, the availability of facilities and equipment for ICM purposes. Our institution has the capacity, resources, and experiences to become an ICM learning center. Rest assured that the Catanduanes State University is and will always be optimistic in building a pool of ICM trainers within the institution as well as in the local, national, and even in the international scale. Likewise, we are willing to provide the necessary technical support to our respective local government units or LGUs and relevant government agencies in the advancement of ICM. Again, our thanks to the PEMSEA for this remarkable opportunity for partnership, for learning, and to be able to serve. In Bicol, we say, Diyos mabalos. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Sarmiento, for the encouraging remarks. We will endeavor to collaborate with you in the future as we scale up the implementation of integrated coastal management in support of the implementation of the SCS-SEA. Now, for the next speaker, we would like to invite Vice Chancellor Salibay of De La Salle Dasmariñas to deliver the acceptance speech on behalf of their university. The floor is yours, Vice Chancellor Salibay.
Thank you. To the Honorable PEMSEA Executive Committee, headed by Dr. Von Mononith, and other distinguished participants and guests, greetings from the Philippines. It is indeed an honor for our university to be designated as a PEMSEA Learning Center, and we accept such with full commitment to be an active participant in fulfilling its goals to implement the SDS-SEA. This commitment also directs us to be of service to the communities of Cavite, specifically those residing along coastal areas. The LSUD made a research roadmap that ran for over a decade now, and one of the key targets is the management of Cavite waters, including the coastal marine areas where many marginalized groups of fisher folks reside. Being exposed to this environment and community, the LSUD is committed to reach out to the local communities through education, research, and extension. Our involvement with PEMSEA has provided us the opportunity to explore more in research related to natural waters management. The joint research on initial assessment of plastic pollution in Imus River, province of Cavite, provided a baseline information on the condition of the river banks, which pictures Cavite's river condition in general. Realizing the situation, the LSUD immediate plan to further collaborate on plastic waste management, including studies on unnecessary single-use plastics and its impact in Cavite waters. Plastic manufacturing is still a big business industry in the country, and that we find the more that there is a need to come up with programs that would regulate use of plastics and proper disposals of the same to prevent them from landing into the waters. Our continued partnership with you makes the LSUD much better on its capacity to support and implement the Sustainable Development Strategy for water management. As an academic institution, we find ourselves mandated to provide academic training and extension services to the community in need. Likewise, we find it necessary to capacitate these communities and help them see the water environment not only as a source of living, but a place to ponder where they can be stewards. We are hopeful that all these plans will be achieved through our partnership with you as we share common goals in ensuring efficient and effective management system of our environment in general. Thank you very much, PEMSEA, for making us part of your consortium. The LSUD is indeed very grateful. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Salibay, for the encouraging remarks. We take note of the importance of watershed governance, particularly quality and quantity management for the benefit of our East Asian Seas region. Over to you, Mr. Chair, for the remaining agenda item for our council session.
Thank you, Ben. We say congratulations to our members of the learning centers to the policies. So for the third agenda item, namely either matters regarding to the PNLCs as explained in document number EC/29/dot/03. May I also request the Dr. John Win the president of the PNLC to present the proof the PNLC's operation plan for 2022 and 2027 and share update about the PNLC's membership, governance, scheduled posting for the reference of the council session. The floor is yours, Dr. Warren.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To our honorable speaker, member of the executive committee of PEMSEA, country and non-country partner of PEMSEA, PRF as the interim PNLC secretariat, and other representative of the PNLC. A pleasant afternoon. My heartfelt thanks to good PRF for inviting me to speak during this occasion. In this moment, I also say welcome to all of the new PNLC member, Cateduan State University and De La Salle University. It will be great working together with our learning center in East Asia. As you might be aware, the PNLC is a consortium of higher education research institute that provide academic training, extension services, policy advice, and other form of the technical assistance and capacity building to help facilitate it of the implementation SDAC at the regional, national, and local level. PNLC consists of 17 learning center and 4 regional center of excellence, each with their own automatic area, the expertise such as coral reef research, marine protected area management, climate change adaptation, sustainable coastal, and we are also represent in 9 countries in the East region, namely Cambodia, China, People's Democratic Korea, Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. PEMSEA has been engaging many these institute, learning center or center of excellence since 2008 through individual memorandum of agreement. To maximize of the potential and create synergy form the linkage between this institution. PEMSEA eventually established a consortium of this institution in 2015 during the East Congress in Da Nang, Vietnam, and eventually formalized this network last year through the signing of PNLC charter at the East Congress hosted by province of Prea Sihanouk, Cambodia. The charter specific the ground rule on the membership and operation of the network. And then I also say to thank you for 2 new members that also signed the PNLC charter. On the stipulation of the charter is the development of 5-year operational plan for network within a year of signing of the PNLC charter. The operational plan, which has already been approved by the member of this November, aim to identify the strategic area of the interest in terms of education, research training, project-related pursuit of the PNLC, as well as the initial funding requirement, resource mobilization initiative, and cost-effective measure for the supporting the operational of the network. This will be a review and refined on an annual basis by the General Assembly of the PNLC starting in 20 and 23. The three target of outcomes under this operational plan included first, the maximize engagement of the regional knowledge hub for the ocean and coast, such as Sea of East Knowledge Bank and Community of Practice. While these hubs are already in existence, their use as online interactive learning platform needed active to participation from PNLC member as user and contributor. The second, implementation of integrated management approach and review of the management effectiveness of integrated coastal management or ICM. And third, implementation of the target empirical research that provided scientific data, tools, methodology to aid the decision-making process in support of SDC implementation. An example including establishing a reporting system on the state of the river basin in East Asia, applying of ICM tools in transboundary marine protected area in ASEAN countries, and also developing an harmonized template for greenhouse gas emission inventory for the maritime sector in East and Southeast Asia through the upcoming project of the PEMSEA and the other initiative in the pipeline. This operational plan will be contribute to key international and regional commitment for capacity building and knowledge management, such as the SDSC implementation plan 2018 until 2022, and the draft of the SDC implementation 20 and 23 until 20 and 27. UN SDGs, IC target, Paris Agreement, Glasgow Climate Pact, UN Decade of the Ocean, Science for Sustainable Development, and also upcoming in the commitment from the UN COP from Egypt. And this next few slide feature the target activity under each component of the operational plan. The governance component focus on the development of a relevant management structure and policy, conduct a regular organizational meeting, and the evaluation reporting of the progress made by PNLC in relevant platform as the annual is partnership council meeting. As seen on the slide, several of the activity under this component are recurring. Most have already been completed or initiated as of today. We have elected the new set of the officer who will lead the network for 3-year term, conducted a first 2 General Assembly, developed the PNC Code of Conduct and the operational plan for 2022 until 20 and 27. Drafted the annual work plan for 20 and 23, provide the technical work plan, provide technical input to the development of the SDC implementation plan, and report our plan, program, and accomplishment at the East Partnership Council. I am also pleased to inform everyone of the decision of my home institution, IPB University in Indonesia, to host the PNLC Secretariat from the year 2024 onward. We are currently working with PRI on the transition process to facilitate the turnover of secretariat rule, and look forward to working with everyone in a greater capacity for the benefit of our coastal community and environmental. We are target to complete the transition process by 2024. Today, the initial discussion has already been conducted with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia and securing financial assistance for the hiring of a capacity development officer based in PRF to support the operation of the PNLC. The request we granted in the principle with the financial support being envisioned as part of the succeeding country's contribution of the Indonesia to PEMSEA. In the year leading to 2024, we will continue to mobilize other potential funding source for PNLC. In parallel, IPB University will also be working with PRF and also COMI. Dr. Fang in here is the Vice President of the PNLC to prepare of the memorandum of agreement that stipulate the role and responsibility of IPB as the PNLC Secretariat. The support to be provided by PRF to IPB, the manpower and capital requirement, the funding option for the PNLC Secretariat, and others arrangement necessary for the turnover of Secretariat work. We aim to complete this by the third quarter of 2023. We will integrate the financial requirement of IPB University as the PNLC Secretariat in the annual work plan and budget of the PNLC. And then we have target to secure of the staff and capital requirement of the Secretariat by 2024 to complete the transition process, including the creation of the executive committee mandated by the PNLC Charter, including the charter mandate the creation of the executive committee composed of the PNLC officer, head of the PNLC Secretariat, and executive director of PRF. Under the program component, the PNLC operational plan, we target to conduct the following regular activity. The first, provision of the technical support in the certification of ICM system based on the ICM code of the PEMSEA and the ISO standard for quality environmental management system where needed. Initiate or implement project that support ICM or SDC, and then organize or participate in the capacity development and knowledge sharing initiative, such as the joint PNLG learning event, and triennial is Congress in accordance with the PEMSEA capacity development and training plan. For this particular activity emphasis, we will be given in the co-design, sharing, and translating scientific traditional form of knowledge on sustainable coastal and marine management toward more informed law, policy, and practice. For the year 2022, we have made a significant progress for last two target activities. This year, the PNLC, PNLG, PRF, and PEMSEA partner have a number of the projects that involve capacity development or knowledge management, particularly on matter concerning fisheries, biofouling, climate change adaptation, ocean acidification, solid waste management, plastic pollution, chemical contaminant, oil spill preparedness and response, sustainable livelihood, and environmental journalism in East Asia and beyond. The box of the project comprise 3 of the 47 endorsed program of the UN Decade Ocean Science. We also have an upcoming project and other initiative in the pipeline that involve capacity development on knowledge management, particularly on matter concerning integrated river basin, maritime transport, marine litter, transboundary resource management in Asia and the Pacific. Outside of the PEMSEA project, we have also conducted the other training in 2022, such as the recently concluded 2022 PNLG Forum in Tangerang. The forum was hosted by Tangerang Regency, Indonesia, with the partner co-host Center for Coastal and Marine Resource Studies of IPB University and PRF, a part of the organizing committee. Part of its activity are technically workshop that facilitated knowledge, experience sharing among the PNLG member, academic, and other stakeholders in regard to the improve of the coastal resilience toward local blue economy. This was accompanied by field visit that showcased the relevant program and corresponding achievement, particularly on habitat protection, restoration, alternative livelihood of Tangerang, as well as and the exhibit feature relevant local product and good practice. We also making significant progress in the term of the others component of the PNLC operational plan, particularly on communication component. We have already activated the C of East Asia Knowledge Bank and PNLC web page. With regard to the partnership and resource mobilization component, we will review or renew the individual of memorandum agreement with Learning Center and Center of Excellence and sign new MOA where needed, considering the upcoming project. This will be subject to available resource. Additionally, we will conduct a financial landscape assessment in 2023, which will serve as the PNLC guide in mobilizing other potential funding sources for sustaining the operation of the network. Example of these other potential funding source, including annual membership due, provision of the in-demand contracted services, and conduct of joint activity. That's all my presentation and my share as a president of PNLC 2022 until 2025. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Manginas, for sharing this update and the PNLC operation plan. We are pleased to hear about IPB University's decision to host the Secretariat and look forward to further discussion and to assist the PNLC's role in providing academic training, extension services, policy advice, and other forms of technical assistance and the capacity building in the East Asia Sea regions. So once again, thank you very much for your presentation. For the next agenda, I would like to turn over to the floor to Dr. Tita to share the technical section. Please, Joe, the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Van Oninis, for giving me the floor. This is Keita Furukawa. I'm your technical session chair, and I'd like to start the technical session for the 29th PEMCDC meeting now. And we are having the two major items for discussion. First one is item number 4, the SDSSCA implementation plan for 2023 to 2027, and followed by the agenda number 5, the regional strategy for biofouling management in the ES region. As you know, the technical session is a arena for having the discussion on the strategies itself, or implementation of the strategies and assessment of the achievements and capacity building with the collaboration with the PNMC, the learning centers, regional center of excellences, and PNLGs and other non-country partners as academic supporters for the technical session. So the first agenda for our technical session today will be the regarding to the SDS SEA implementation plan 23 to 27, as described in the document number EC/29/doc/24A through to the 04D. We have four important documents here. And firstly, I'd like to ask Ms. Nancy Burns, the Senior Program Manager of the PRF, to share updates on the developing the SDS SEA implementation plan and present the third draft of the implementation plan itself. So, Nancy, would you please take a floor for elaboration?
Thank you, Dr. Furukawa. Good afternoon, everyone. I am pleased to provide an overview of the process of formulating the implementation plan as well as the revised third draft. A copy has been sent to the country and non-country partners, and we hope you were able to review the implementation plan. Okay, so this slide shows the evolution of the SDS SEA since its adoption in 2003 in response to global and regional developments and agreements that the country and non-country partners party to. So for the past 19 years, there have been 2 implementation plans that were developed in response to the strategies that were identified here in the original SDS SEA. And in 2015, when the UN SDGs were adopted, the SDS SEA was updated to incorporate the necessary or relevant SDG targets for the region. And the current implementation plan covering this period, 2023 to 2027, is the third implementation plan, and this particular plan is important in the sense that it includes the actions that would lead to 2030, the completion of the UN SDGs. So the current implementation plan incorporates the targets of the SDGs as well as the accomplishments from the previous implementation plans, as well as other developments that are relevant to the region. Okay, so the implementation plan, similar to its predecessors, builds on the commitments of partners to global and regional agreements and plans of actions and their implementation at the national and local level. So we are not creating new obligations, but rather build on the existing commitments of our country and non-country partners. And we also build on the upcoming multilateral and bilateral projects of PEMSEA Resource Facility that will be implemented until 2027. And the value of the implementation plan is it consolidates the accomplishments of the 11 country partners and the 21 non-country partners in one report. And for PEMSEA's institutional transformation, the implementation plan also outlines key actions on how we can further strengthen PEMSEA as the regional mechanism to implement the SDS SEA. And the PEMSEA Resource Facility will continue to provide the necessary technical and secretariat services to monitor and report on the progress made in implementing the plan. Okay. So, shown on the screen are the 11 country partners' strategies and action plans related to sustainable development, biodiversity, climate change, and pollution management. So as I mentioned, we are not creating new obligations, but rather build on the existing strategies and action plans of the countries. And as shown here, there are existing plans and national plans of action in response to all sustainable development in the 3 thematic areas. And that are within the time frame of the SEA implementation plan. So, okay. So this summarizes the process of developing the implementation plan as well as the timeline. So the implementation plan received a significant guidance from the advisory group comprising of the technical session chair and co-chair, as well as the technical working group comprising of country partners, representatives from country partners, as well as selected non-country partners. So the implementation plan was developed over a 10-month period starting in February this year. And there were 3 technical working group meetings that were convened to discuss the outline of the implementation plan, and then the first draft during the second quarter, and then the second draft during the third quarter. And we presented the revised second draft during the 14th East Asian Sea Partnership Council meeting in July. And the current draft also received additional inputs from bilateral meetings that we organized between September to October 2022. And the third TWG meeting reviewed the third draft prior to submission to the current meeting, hopefully for approval and endorsement to the council towards the end of this year. So the development of the implementation plan actually is highly participatory, and we provided copies of the draft implementation plan to our country and non-country partners for additional input. And all of the inputs where appropriate were incorporated in the current third. Okay, so this is the framework of the upcoming implementation plan. So there are 4 components where effective governance serves as the main anchor for the other 3 components. So these 4 components draw inspiration from the Pre-ASEAN Ministerial Declaration, where PEMSEA's vision of healthy ocean, people, and economies are elaborated on. So the implementation plan follows this framework. So we have an introduction that provides the rationale for the plan and the principles behind developing it. Similar to its predecessor, the plan is based on the principles of sustainable development, integration, coordination, adaptive management, ecosystem-based management, and so on. And each of these components have corresponding priority programs that were identified through the consultation process. And each of these priority programs have their corresponding expected outcomes, sub-programs, or targeted actions, indicators to measure our progress later on in implementing the plan, the actions, the schedule, who are the partners who will be involved in implementing the various targeted actions, as well as the monitoring and reporting mechanism. Okay, so for purposes of monitoring the plan, this shows the structure of the implementation plan. So we have the 4 components, we have their corresponding objectives for each of the components, the expected outcomes by 2027, and then the priority programs for each of the component programs, and then the indicators to measure the progress made, the actions and schedules between 2023 to 2027, and the partners. Okay, so effective governance was identified as a key and cross-cutting element of the implementation plan. So shown here is the regional mechanism of PEMSEA, which is very critical in implementing this plan. So we know that the council is comprised of the intergovernmental session and the technical session, and PEMSEA Resource Facility provides necessary secretariat and technical services. We have here the executive committee, the regional partnership fund, and the regional task force and the national task forces. And we have established the East Asian Seas Congress. So far, we have convened 7 East Asian Seas Congresses which serve as our monitoring or reporting platform for the progress made in implementing the plan. And the ministerial forum sets the targets for country and non-country partners, and which the implementation plan is also anchored on. So the implementation plan operationalizes the strategy as well as the targets set during the ministerial forum. For instance, in 2003, we had the Putrajaya Declaration adopting the SDS-SEA. In 2006, the HICO Partnership Agreement was adopted, establishing the regional mechanism of PEMSEA. In 2009, we had the Manila Declaration, utilizing ICM in response to climate change action. And every 3 years, the ministerial forum generates a declaration that sets the target for the region to move forward. Okay, so effective governance, there are 5 priority programs: regional mechanism, national policies, legislations, and institutional arrangements, capacity development, knowledge management, gender equality, and social inclusion. For the regional mechanism, there are 3 sub-programs. The first one is to continue pursuing the self-sustainability of PEMSEA. And in this case, we will continue to in discussion with our country partners to provide voluntary contribution for the operationalization of the secretariat. The regional and national state of the coast reporting, we will, under this implementation plan, we will develop the second RSO, regional and national state of the coast reporting system. And connecting people and ocean, there will be 2 East Asian Seas Congresses during the lifetime of the SDS-SEA implementation plan, one in 2024 and another one in 2027. And so we will again utilize the East Asian Seas Congress as our platform for reporting of progress made in implementing the plan. National policies, legislations, and institutional arrangements, there are 2 sub-programs. So we will convene a national policy forum to raise awareness on the importance of the ocean policies, particularly for sustainable development of our coast and oceans. And we will also include in the regional and national state of the coast reporting the progress, the impacts, and the challenges encountered by the countries in implementing their respective national ocean policies and plans. ICM mainstreaming, particularly in the legislative agenda of our national government. We will pursue this, and as part of strengthening ICM implementation, we will be pursuing or looking into the measuring the effectiveness of ICM implementation. So for capacity development, this was mentioned previously by Dr. Yun Bittner. So we have an existing plan, which we plan to update up to 2027 to cover the time frame of this implementation plan. And we will, of course, engage our PNLC members in the implementation of the PACDEV plan, which includes a range of capacity building strategies in response to the capacity needs of the countries. And PEMSEA is also a member of part of the global network global training network of marine spatial planning. And aside from our engagement with the IOC UNESCO global training network, we will also look into the possibility of linking with IW Learn, as well as the opportunities provided by under the UN Decade of Ocean Science. So knowledge management, we have established the Seas of East Asia Knowledge Bank, and we will improve the functionalities of this knowledge management platform. And right now, there are microsites for the ATSI2 project and the ASIANO project. And we will also improve the other functionalities like the communities of practice, as well as the PNLU tracking tool and others. For communication plan, knowledge products and IEC, we will develop a communication strategy, and also to widely disseminate and publicize all of the knowledge products that will be generated from the implementation of this plan, as well as the respective plans and programs of our country and non-country partners to further promote the PEMSEA brand. So gender equality and social inclusion, there will be a presentation after mine, so I will not elaborate on these sub-programs. Okay, so for component two, the midterm review of the current implementation plan identified that some of the management programs in response to biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction, and pollution and water and waste management will not be achieved after the end of 2022. So for component two, the focus would be to reevaluate and determine areas for improvement in the current management programs of our country and non-country partners, and at the same time looking at the various developments at the global level, particularly, for instance, on the Convention on Biological Diversity, COP15, which will be convened in the next 2 weeks, is expected to adopt the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, and the countries in this case are expected to update their national biodiversity action plans in response to the outcomes of the COP15. And for climate change, COP27 was just recently concluded, and the implementation plan that was generated from COP27 also identified in one of the chapters the oceans, and it further elaborated ocean-based actions that the countries need to integrate in their national climate goals, as well as including the reporting through their NDCs and adaptation communication. And the COP27 further elaborated what the Glasgow Climate Pact has identified in response to the ocean-based action. For pollution reduction and waste management, on the other hand, there is an ongoing discourse on developing a global treaty on marine plastic pollution, although it is expected to be completed in 2024. But we will also take into consideration the ongoing discussions, particularly the strategies that will be identified in the treaty. Okay. So I will just summarize component two, because this is actually the biggest component of the SDS SEA, and this is where implementation happens and where the local implementation in terms of biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation, and pollution reduction. So the first priority program is ICM scaling up. So PEMSEA's flagship program is integrated coastal management. So we will continue to scale up beyond the 2020 target of covering 25% of the regional coastline. And as everyone is probably aware, we have already exceeded that target, and we are actually at 40% as of end of 2022. Okay, so under this program, through the national ICM action plans and programs of the countries, we will continue to provide assistance in scaling up ICM. And the PEMSEA network of local governments has adopted their strategic action plan covering this period, 2022 to 2027. There are currently 57 member local governments who are committed to implement the SAP. And this SAP particularly covers the implementation of the ICM system. And under this SAP, we also plan to measure the effectiveness of ICM, considering the long history of ICM in the region, more than more than close to 30 years. For these three management programs, the idea is, okay, so the midterm review identified that there are still gaps in implementing these management programs. And so the current plan will look at the various aspects of these national action plans in terms of updating them in response to the post-2020 global biodiversity target for biodiversity, for Glasgow Climate Pact, for climate change adaptation, and of course the Sendai Framework of Action for disaster risk reduction, and for pollution reduction and waste management. Although the global plan of action for reducing land-based sources of pollution is a non-binding agreement, there are also initiatives particularly by the country partners, where there are action plans, for instance, on marine litter management and so on. And so these management programs will look at the existing plans that need to be updated, and then identification of priority sites where local implementation will happen, and then establishing a monitoring, evaluation, and reporting mechanism and documentation of the good practices. Okay, so for healthy people, this is also a new priority program of the implementation plan. So it looks at how we can engage all of the stakeholders in the planning process, as well as in policy and decision-making process in relation to the implementation of the plan. And so this component also looks at the impact of COVID-19, particularly in increasing the poverty rates as well as the unemployment rates. And under this component, the regional state of the coast has a supplemental report that reviews the impact of COVID-19 in relation to blue economy. And there are a number of recommended strategic actions on how we can respond to the global crisis from the blue economy perspective. And this component will also look at identifying viable, sustainable livelihood options to promote, for instance, biodiversity conservation. So in the case of the Philippines, particularly the Biodiversity Management Bureau of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources have been actively promoting biodiversity-friendly enterprises in support of the implementation of the PEMSEA. So a number of livelihood options have been identified, for instance, for fisheries and aquaculture, forestry, manufacturing, and services. Okay, so for component 3, there are two priority programs. There are two priority programs that looks at the inclusivity and stakeholders or community engagement. So in the effective governance component, the gender equality and social inclusion was elaborated on, but in this case, we also include not only gender, but related concern, but also the engagement of the indigenous people, civil society, the youth, and other marginalized sector in the implementation of the plan. And of course, identifying sustainable livelihood and enterprise development to improve the well-being of the coastal communities in particular. Next. Okay, so for the healthy economies component, through the Changwon Declaration, where we were able to define blue economy, we have been able to develop state of the coast reports for the 10 countries in the region, and also the regional state of the coast, wherein we were able to establish that ocean can be a source of sustainable business. And on all these reports with blue economy theme, we were able to identify initiatives that promote sustainable ports and shipping, coastal and marine tourism, and fisheries and aquaculture. And in response to the COVID crisis, as I've mentioned previously, the supplemental report of the regional state of the coast have identified a number of strategic actions in response to the COVID crisis from the blue economy perspectives. And in this report, there are also a number of options that are identified to promote nature-based job creation programs, sustainability upgrades, and digitalizing our oceans. Okay. So component 4, there are two priority programs recovering from the COVID crisis by promoting resilient economic recovery through blue investments and green recovery. And based on the midterm review, where gaps have been identified in engaging the private sector in sustainable development of our coasts and oceans, under this component, there are also a number of targeted actions that promotes the participation of the private sector in environmental investments. Okay, so for the planning hierarchy, so this is how the implementation plan was developed. So it will be implemented at 3 levels of governance, from the regional level, national level, and local level. And at the regional level, this is in response to the multilateral environmental agreements and regional agreements that the countries are parties to. And at the national level, since the countries are developing their corresponding national policies, national strategies, and national action plans in response to these MEAs and regional agreements, these are also translated at the local level through the enactment of corresponding local policies, local strategies, and local action plans. So the implementation plan takes into consideration these 3 levels of planning process of the government. Okay, so for the implementation of the plan and reporting, partners are identified in each of the targeted actions based on their mandates, as well as their engagement in various programs and projects, as well as their areas of specialization, particularly for non-country partners. At the regional level, PEMSEA Resource Facility will be responsible in coordinating and monitoring and reporting of the various targeted actions to be undertaken at the regional level. First, the non-country partners, the PEMSEA network of learning centers, as well as the current and upcoming regional programs of PEMSEA, like the ATSI2 project, the upcoming project on integrated river basin management, the Blue Solutions project on maritime decarbonization, and also the upcoming project with ASEAN Center for Biodiversity on networking of marine protected areas will all be covered at the regional level. At the national level, the country partners and other non-country partners who are supporting the various programs and projects of our country partners will be part of the implementation of the national level, as well as our network of learning centers. At the local and subnational level, again, our country partners who are providing the necessary financial and technical support to our local partners will be part of the implementation at the local level. Our learning centers, particularly for those who are near the priority sites, and the PEMSEA network of local governments who are guided by the PNLG Strategic Action Plan. So, okay, so effective governance actions will be implemented at the regional level and at the national level for healthy oceans, all 3 levels of governance for healthy people, the regional and local level, and for healthy economies at the national and local level. Okay, so the technical session is requested to review the 3rd draft of the SDS implementation plan and recommend its endorsement to the Council for approval, subject to the incorporation of additional points from this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, for elaboration of the main text of our implementation plan. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for expressing the appreciation for the member of the technical working group and the country partners and non-country partners take place to the PC meeting in July for making a very extensive and fruitful discussion. And throughout the bilateral consultation, the PRF and each member states having extensive discussion. And finally, we got this new draft of the SEA implementation plan today. And we are believing that the implementation plan is bridging and guiding the gap filling between the global agenda and local action. So with the harmony of the EAS region and the new concept of the gender equality and the social inclusivity is implemented into our plan this time. So we are deciding to having some kind of the assisting materials for getting the good understanding of the gender equality and the social inclusivity. So I'd like to ask Mr. Renato Cardinal, consultant of the PRF, to present a recommendation for the mainstreaming gender equality and social inclusion as a supporting material for our implementation plan. So, Mr. Renato, please take forward if you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Kurokawa. So, good afternoon, everybody. To support the development of the STSSCA implementation plan, the PEMSEA Resource Facility conducted the assessment for gender equality and social inclusion. This is to ensure that we will be able to embed principles and actions related to ensuring that gender equality and social inclusion is embedded to the STSFC implementation plan. To start with, the focus of the assessment is to verify if we were able to achieve or the state of the achievement with regards to gender equality. Gender equality is the state that we want to achieve to ensure that the conditions that affords women, girls, and boys would have equal enjoyment in terms of rights and social valued goods. In addition to that, we need to ensure that gender equity is embedded into our activity. Gender equity is the process of ensuring that we will achieve gender equality in the future. We are not limited in terms of assessing with regards to gender equality. We ensure that we include social inclusion. Social inclusion are geared towards ensuring that those that are disadvantaged in terms of our social and economic actions or benefits would be achieved by these people who are regarded as disadvantaged. It could be the basis of their age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic status. The focus is to ensure that these people are also considered in the programs that we are going to implement with regards to the implementation of STSSA. To sum up gender equality and social inclusion, we assess the different definitions with regards to gender equality and social inclusion. And in the interim, we use this definition as the definition for the assessment with regards to the gender equality, social inclusion, or GESI assessment with regards to SDS-SEA implementation plan. The definition that we use is the state or condition that affords all individuals, whether they are women, girls, men, and boys, regardless of gender, age, including youth and senior citizen, race, religion, nationality, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, ethnicity, and social and economic status, the enjoyment of equal or the equal enjoyment of human rights, social valued goods, opportunities, and resources. So this interim definition was used to look at the different aspects of the implementation of GESI in the East Asia region. The focus of the assessment is to be able to ensure that GESI is embedded in our action. Now, we will be asking ourselves, why GESI? Now, there are definite benefits with regards to the implementation of GESI. Number one, it boosts productivity. Based on past studies, it shows that it improves the productivity when women are empowered. No? It also diversifies the income generation, which means that not only men are getting salaries or income, women will also get income, and it will boost their spending power, and it will also add to the availability of goods for the family. It also improves the outputs of the organization. It also improves the services that is being provided. It increased farm yields. It increased the result of the agriculture or even aquaculture harvest, no, with regards to increasing farm yields. In regards to diversity and no discrimination, diversity will actually initiate creativity and innovation. Diversity should also consider including not only gender focused activities, but also those that are disadvantaged. So the person with disabilities, senior citizen, and also youth. This will induce creativity, innovation, and also if we don't discriminate, it will also improve the employment opportunity for this individual, which would also contribute to their being able to contribute to the economy. The focus of the assessment as directed is to ensure that the SDS-SEA implementation plan considered GESI in each of the components and priority programs. As discussed by Ms. Nancy, the different activities or actions in the priority programs are defined in the SDS-SEA. Now, there is a specific section on gender based screening in the effective governance, but it doesn't mean that gender equality and social inclusion will only be touched in that section of the priority program. The assessment would ensure that each of the priority programs on the different components of the SDSC implementation framework embeds the different social, gender, inclusion perspective dimension in each of the program. So as presented by Ms. Nancy earlier, each of the program would have a specific component related to GESI. So it's not only under effective governance, it's not only under gender mainstreaming priority program, but on each of the priority program and each of the components, we will assess and be able to identify the specific actions that would ensure that gender and social inclusion perspective and dimensions are embedded in the SDSC implementation plan 2023-2027. The assessment that was conducted are divided into two different main activities. Now, the first activity is the literature review, which is focused on secondary data assessment. There are actually studies already conducted for gender, quality, and social inclusion in the region. So it's not new in terms of topic, no? So there are numerous secondary information that we were able to use to conduct the desk review of the secondary data. This also includes the legal and policy framework of existing DESI analysis and study reports. And to initially provide you with an indication, all the member countries of PEMSEA have in one way or another implemented the or already have legal entities related to GSC. So as part of the secondary data analysis, we were able to cover or we were able to gather that there are legal documents that are already existing with regards to DESI component. These are indicated in the examples in the slides. There are also indication that the national development plans already have specific components of gender equality. One of the activities that were conducted by the PEMSEA resource facility is to look at the different actions or good practices that are being implemented in the region. One of the good practices related to GESI is availability of government ministries and bureaus in the or focused on the different activities of the or different impacts or different components of GSC. So these are some of the examples that we're able to get in terms of good practices. There are also good practices related to cooperation with regards to governments, and there are also good practices related to fisheries, coastal resource, and livelihood management. In terms of the programs, as mentioned by Ms. Nance earlier, there are specific examples that we're able to achieve or to get in terms of good practices with regards to fisheries, coastal resource, livelihood, and also biodiversity management and climate change. There are specific examples with regards to the implementation of GSC in terms of biodiversity management and climate change program. Also related are GSC in terms of information sharing and knowledge management. There are also good practices related to GSC in terms of science and technology, and also GSC in waste management. Now, to be able to confirm the identified secondary data, PEMSEA conducted a specific stakeholder partners review survey. In August and September of this year, Jesse conducted a workshop with the PEMSEA partners, and we were able to provide with them the stakeholder survey. The stakeholder survey resulted in the assessment of existing GSC in terms of the organization. There are existing focal point or units in organizations under the PEMSEA partners and stakeholders. There are also policy plans and strategies that are available, and there are also budgets specific for GESI implemented by each of the PEMSEA partner. As you can see from the figures, there is a high rate of availability with regards to focal point, policy plan, and budget. There are also activities related to GESI assessment. This is one of the aspects that we also need to consider with regards to the implementation of GESI in the region, conducting the GESI assessment, and also getting disaggregated data and conducting training. There are also existing GESI in the programs, as shown by Ms. Nancy. ICM programs are part of the implementation of the SDSCIP. So 90% or close to 90% of these programs have ICM programs related to ensuring that GESI is embedded in programs. There are also GESI implemented in biodiversity programs with regards to the PEMSEA partners, and there are programs related to climate change that already have GESI components. In terms of waste management, there are also programs within the PEMSEA framework or the SDSC framework that already incorporated GESI in waste management and GESI in livelihood and blue economy. So with regards to those secondary assessment and the survey, PEMSEA analyzed this information and were able to identify several recommendations to the SDSSC implementation plan 2023 to 2027. These are the following: inclusion of gender equity and social inclusion indicators in the regional and national SOC. Inclusion of GESI focus workshop in the regional event as the East Asian Seas Congress. Inclusion of the GESI component in the review of the national ocean and coastal policies and legislation. Inclusion of GESI-specific trainings in the conduct of capacity building priority programs. Improvement of the CKP platform to include GESI knowledge products and services. And inclusion of the collection of sex disaggregated data and data on marginalized group to support the assessment or ensuring that GESI is embedded in different programs. To also include SDG 5 or gender in the PNLG tracking tools indicator, and inclusion of GESI in the ICN effectiveness assessment framework methodology, and integration of gender in the National Biodiversity Strategy Action Plan. Participation of women, men in developing and managing local adaptation. Inclusion of access to and control over productive resource for sustainable livelihood and enterprise, and promotion of women in the blue economy. These suggestions are actually considered by the group that developed and reviewed the SDSSA implementation plan. And as presented by Ms. Nancy, these recommendations are now embedded within the specific priority actions of the different component of the SDSSCA. So with this, we would like the executive committee to review and provide comments on the draft GESI and assessment plan as provided to you last month, and also to provide documents on the plans and programs, especially in the coastal and marine sector, that include GESI so that we can incorporate these programs in the GESI action plan.
Thank you, Renato, for the elaboration of the JC materials. And I'm sorry for, with my capacity as the chair of the session, I asked to the presenter for skip some slides. So, or the participants will getting the copy of the slide afterward from the secretariat. And please see the in detail with the material provided in email. And with this, I would like to seek the floor to endorsement, to get the possible endorsement of the implementation plan. But before opening up the discussion, I like to say some liberty for final editing of the implementation plan can be granted for the against the PRF to brushing up the English itself. So that if you have some crucial point to be amended to our implementation plan in this stage, please raise your hand or express your interest to seeking the floor. Do we have any suggestion or recommendation, additional recommendation for the implementation plan? Okay, so I'd like to seek the endorsement of the EC for approval of our third draft of the implementation plan as seeking the endorsement at the next ESPC meeting for getting the final approval. If you have some objection for this treatment, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I'd like to take the endorsement for that. We have some comment from that. Okay. Thank you for the message. That is not relevant for the endorsement itself. So with this, no objection. So idea to propose or idea to finalize the third draft of the SDS-SEA implementation plan as a approved document of this typical EC meeting. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And now we are proceeding for the agenda number 5, the regional strategy for the biofouling management in the ES region. This is a kind of a quite new item for discussion having in this group. So I'd like to ask Dr. What is seen for elaboration for the purpose of the document and the elaboration of the what is the regional strategy for the biofouling management. So Wanti, please take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to present today to you the regional strategy for biofouling management in the East Asian Seas region. I believe that not many people here in this meeting know about biofouling because it's a technical jargon used in the maritime transport section sector. But the biofouling is something when attached to the ship's hull when the ship is moving to the seas. So this biofouling creates two significant impact to the ocean. One is marine environment, marine ecosystem disturbances through invasive alien species, and the second is consuming lots of energy from the ships because of the friction caused by biofouling. So International Maritime Organization, IMO, is trying to manage this biofouling. I'm very sorry. Would you back up the? All right. Thank you very much. This is so the biofouling is managed by the IMO. Now, IMO has come up with two conventions so far. It's anti-fouling substance convention and the ballast water convention. Now, IMO is dealing with biofouling management. Would you please? Okay. So why we PEMSEA is doing this regional strategy? Because IMO engaged PEMSEA as a regional cooperating organization in 2021. So as a global program, they have a global fouling program, and then they want us to develop a regional strategy in the East Asian region. So one of the major outcome of the global fouling project is to develop a regional strategy on biofouling management at East Asian region. So to develop this regional strategy, PEMSEA formed a regional technical regional task force. We call it RTF. And then in this 2022, we organized two RTF meeting to review the draft of the regional strategy. So last week, we organized the second RTF meeting, and we reviewed the regional strategy. And then I'm very happy to tell you that they were very happy because they are the expert and they review the technical contents of the regional strategy, and then they are recommending to endorse. And then IMO and PEMSEA are intended to submit the final regional strategy to PEMSEA's Partnership Council and ASEAN Working Group on Maritime Transport for adoption. So next, please. So the objectives of the regional strategy is to provide guidance to the East Asian countries in establishing the national strategy in accordance with the visions and mission for managing biofouling. What we found is that not many experts or officials know about a biofouling issue. So IMO intend to inform the country to prepare their national strategy through the regional strategy, and then align concerted efforts of EAS countries in managing biofouling through the strategic objective laid out in the regional strategy. And then we are trying to assist EAS countries in implementing actions against the biofouling through the strategic actions on the ground with a specific agenda. So this is the background of the regional strategy. Next, please. The strategy is very simple. I believe that you received this simple document, and then this composed of the vision and mission and strategic objective and strategic action. A vision, of course, we don't want to have a biofouling problem in this region because we are free from disruption of invasive aquatic species, and to enhance the energy efficient operation of the ships through biofouling management. To be able to do that, we come up with a 5 strategic objective. One is establish biofouling governance and promote R&D and technology exchange and build capacity and awareness sustainable financing mechanism, and enhance cooperation among stakeholders. Next, please. So all these strategic objectives will help the attainment of the vision of the regional strategy. Okay, next, please. These 5 strategic objectives will have several of strategic actions. Here, for the biofouling governance, we support the establishment of national legal and institutional arrangement. Through this regional strategy, we recommend the national government to develop their own national strategy and develop a national biofouling management strategy and establish national interagency biofouling coordinating committee, because this biofouling issue is a multi-sectoral issue. So we need a coordinating mechanism and promote R&D and technology exchange, because this to deal with the biofouling, you need to develop a technology. How you do it? Conduct a national regional study on IIS baseline assessment. We need to know the baseline and develop technologies for biofouling management. Actually, so it's management, not removal. Biofouling management. We need to develop, but some countries already developed, some countries have not. How we can have that technology available? We are promoting exchange of biofouling management technology, and build capacity and then awareness, because we need to have a capacity to deal with the biofouling issue, and conduct capacity building activities and conduct awareness building activities on biofouling management, and establish a regional data center, because data are scattered around the region. So we want to have a data center. And then secure a sustainable finance mechanism, because we cannot do anything without fund. So how we can secure the fund? We recommend the country's mainstream biofouling management into a national budget process. Some countries can avail the fund, but some countries cannot. If they cannot secure the national budget, then we are recommending identify the opportunities for funding assistance from the multi-development banks like ADB and World Bank, and then ODA programs. So there are lots of opportunity exist. We are recommending the countries to identify those opportunities and develop a regional program for biofouling management in the EAS region. So we recommend also PEMSEA to develop a regional program on dealing with the biofouling, and then enhance cooperation, because this biofouling is interconnected through ocean. So one country cannot solve this issue. So we need to collaborate together, establish a regional coordinating mechanism, and then collaborate with the regional and international organization. So PEMSEA is willing to help on this issue, and then monitor and report the progress of regional strategy implementation. So these are the main actions included in the strategy. So in the following next please. So we lay out some detailed actions, but I don't want to get into detail here, because this is a technical substance, and then we already RTF has reviewed, and then we corrected actions. So, but we lay out some tangible actions. So what the next please? So each objective has actions and activities. Next. Finally, what what we are trying to do here is that we recommend the EC to review this document. And then we try to get the endorsement from the East Asian Seas Council. Because what we want to achieve is that the countries to develop their national strategy based on this regional strategy, and then so that they can be prepared when the IMO is moving into another convention on biofouling management. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Wonti, for the revelation for the new document and asking for the discussion on this session. And I'd like to open up the floor for the discussion or suggestion for this difficult document. And I already passed through the agenda item 4, but I'm too quickly proceed the process, so that I'd like to take this opportunity again for are we online? Hello? Okay, so I'll continue. Excuse me. So that I would like to open up again for the discussion from the floor for item number 4, if you have any suggestion, and discussion for the item number 5 simultaneously. So would you please raise a hand or turn on your microphone to seeking the floor for making your comment? Do you have any suggestion, additional suggestion for the item number 4 and also item number 5? Now floor is open for discussion. Yes, it's ready from the UNDP seeking the excuse me, from the Philippines representative seeking the floor. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Philippines would like to commend and congratulate PEMSEA Resource Facility for completing the document, the implementation plan, and like to also thank the PRF and the various agencies, organizations of the country partners and non-country partners and the technical working group that work hard and through the long process of proceedings in the formulation of the SDSC implementation plan. So finally, we're here to enter the finalization and approval of that plan. And I believe this is an indication, a testament of our commitment, actions to targeted outcomes through a clear set of the IT components. If I may just cite that the Philippines with PEMSEA have undertaken several initiatives such as the assessment of coastal and marine initiatives, development of the countrywide recommendation in the implementation of the National Plan of Action in the management of marine litter, plastic waste reduction through solid waste management plan in Metro Manila, including port waste management with the Maritime Industry Authority and the Philippine Coast Guard, and coastal resilience through knowledge-based adaptation planning in Guimaras Province. So the Philippines would like to express our long-term commitment to and partnership with PEMSEA to operationalize the implementation plan towards our overall goal to achieving blue economy. The SDSC implementation plan is an innovative platform for us to identify actions to offset our carbon footprint. There are several discussions regarding blue carbon trading while we attended the COP27 on UNFCCC. And I think we are on the right path now that we're doing this implementation plan. Under the plan, we can establish the long-term impact through partnerships and promoting transition to strong sustainability of our seas and coast environment. The integrated coastal management and the state of the ocean and coast reports, which we have developed as countries, and gender mainstreaming and knowledge management, which are highlights of the implementation plan, add to our holistic approach into sustainability towards 2030, which will in turn benefit the stakeholders towards healthy people, healthy ocean, and healthy economy. So the Philippines concurs with the finalization and approval of the SDSC implementation plan. And again, thank you and congratulations. If I may, Mr. Chair, I'd like also to comment on the biofouling management in the East Asian Seas region. Again, we would like to comment, congratulate, and thank the PRF for coming up with this plan. As we know, the management of ship biofouling the East Asia Seas is complicated to implement due to its transboundary issues. But the collaborations from the IMO through the Global Fouling Partnership Project with the support of our maritime industry and PEMSEA in the development of the regional strategy is key in addressing this international issue on invasive aquatic species. And the strategic approach in addressing the challenges posed by the increasing population of these invasive aquatic species must be on a global scale to spur international awareness and linkage. The Philippines supports the biofouling management participation of the country through the PEMSEA as the regional coordinating organization to strengthen marine biodiversity management of the seas of East Asia. And we also would like to acknowledge our maritime authority for the actions carried out, the issuance of policy instruments for biofouling activities, and an interagency committee on maritime coordination together with PEMSEA. Maybe I can also express that in the formulation of the Philippine National Biofouling Management Plan, we will be needing support and assistance from the experts that are coming from the PEMSEA resource facility. We trust that with this initiative, we will be able to reach East Asian countries through PEMSEA in collaboration with the ongoing and future engagements under the Global Fouling Partnership Project. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Analysis for the representative of the Philippines to having such a firm and strong comment on the supporting the both of the agenda number 4 and number 5, and we are very glad to hear that the long-term commitments are ongoing in the Philippines and in collaboration with so many different sectors. Really, this is a kind of things we are expecting with under the PEMSEA's network. Thank you very much for your support comment again. And I'd like to seek another additional comment or suggestion from the floor. China? Okay, so China, you have a floor.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I would like to comment on the implementation plan 2023 to 2027. So China appreciates the endeavors and the joint efforts made by all the PEMSEA partners, stakeholders, the technical working group, and the PRF in making the IP a comprehensive, effective, and practical one. So IP 2023 to 2027 fully takes into account the current status of the region and the realities of different countries, and is expected to provide guidance for our next moves of oceans and coastal management, thus creating the win-win cooperation in the EAS region. So we can endorse the implementation plan for final approval. With this key document in place, we are confident that more outcomes will be gained towards the clean, healthy, and sustainable development of our region. Thank you.
Thank you, China, for your supportive comment, and thank you again for the confirmation of your endorsement on the text. Do we have any other comments or states from partners? I can find none. So can we proceed for the clarification on the endorsement? Again, I'd like to ask the floor, the session for if you have some objection for the taking this implementation plan as the possible draft document for the coming PC meeting to be clarified as our new implementation plan. Please raise your hand if you have any objection. I'd like to ask you to express some, if you have objection on the implementation plan endorsement. If not, I'm taking this as your indication of the consensus of the approval of the document as our implementation plan. And also the secondary, the item number 5, the regional strategy for biofouling management is region is presented. And of course, this is not finalized yet, but if you have any objection to taking part as our consideration, the continual meeting on the PC meeting or technical work group, please raise your hand or showing your interest to having the floor. If not, I also wanted to take as this is a consensus for taking this new strategy as our new issues to be considered under the peace meeting and technical working group. And surely the co-chairs of the technical session, Dr. Sudre Kwon, is heavily involved into the this strategy, and we are expecting his strong guidance and suggestion to making it clear and firm contribution from the PEMSEA to the IMO network. With this, I'd like to thank everyone for joining the technical session, and all agenda was approved as planned, and I would like to back the chairmanship to the Van Moniz for the remaining session. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Surakuwa. I would like also to congratulate for all the participants to provide your comments, suggestions to our SDSFTA implementation plan. So we get now our to go further with this activities. So regarding to the item 6, other business, I have some. I think that we have some issue here, and first, may I call the Mr. Thomas Bell, Program Manager at the PRF, to present the latest figure of the series of East Asian Knowledge Bank for reference of the session. Okay, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Furukawa. There is not much time, so I would just like to remind everyone in person and online that you can always contact PEMSEA for further information. The Sea Knowledge Bank PEMSEA has established for many years now as a repository for the hub for regional information on the various coastal and ocean issues that affects the seas of East Asia. We have recently expanded the use and function of the Sea Knowledge Bank to serve as a communication tool to share work done and regional work with different sectors and different target audiences. what you can see here on this slide is a new map to represent the ASEANA project, which was mentioned in an earlier presentation. It serves as a new tool through which in the website it is interactive. So it is meant to be accessible not just to policymakers and researchers, as much work is, but a way to translate that to the general public. So it's a way that we can further the impact of the work that we are doing and make it more accessible and more understood. So in this particular example, we share the ASEAN project, which was on plastic in Cavite, by sharing different aspects of plastic, life cycle, plastic management, the role plastic plays in society, and different ways plastic waste can be addressed. And you see all the numbers on this image they all link to specific photographs or specific studies addressing different aspects of what they are looking at. So you can see we have an animated river, and that different stages along the river show the movement of plastic waste down the river into the ocean. Through the menu on the side, I wish I had more time to share with everyone here, but I do not. We have access to maps of Cavite showing different socioeconomic and geographic factors which will affect plastic. We have links to our extensive publications from this project, so the outputs are easily accessible. And we have news and photos which show the real life aspect of the research, so it's not abstract. So through this knowledge bank, it charts a movement from public-facing information which links towards more specific information and more detailed research. So our aim is that this information can be accessible to all different stakeholder groups, depending on their desires and their purpose. And we hope to be able to extend this to further projects in the future. So again, please let us know if you would like more information, and please visit this site to have a look at the functions yourself. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas, for your sharing information that into this the Sea of East Asia Knowledge Bank. So part of the item number 6, we have also other issues that I would like also to invite. Please, Amin. Yeah, to maybe they introduce the BNU ISCOM. Please, Joel.
Very briefly, in the interest of time, we have two new incoming staff, which we would like to welcome. One of them is Miss Sinji Kim. She will be deputized from MOF in Korea and will head our planning and partnership development. She's had several professional experience, all linked to the Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, and will be a wonderful addition to the team in terms of her experience on strategy, data planning, marine development, and ports management. And then the second, we will have Abigail Cruzada. She will be working as Secretariat Coordinator as of January 2023. She comes highly recommended, having served in the Climate Change Commission in the Philippines, and she has Master's in Development Studies in progress. So we welcome these two ladies. They will be replacing, and we would like to thank the outgoing staff, Mr. Kim Won-Wei, who used to head our planning and partnership division. Mr. Kim was very helpful in terms of the transition to COVID, where we had to look for like transition funds in between our new projects. I will tell you about these new and exciting projects later. The other one is no other than Karen C. She will be leaving at the end of the year, unfortunately, to pursue graduate studies, and she's been with us for 2 years, and in the past 2 years, you have seen how the Secretariat coordination
in PEMSEA has actually been much more professionalized, and she was also instrumental in leading the East Asian Six Congress 2021, of course, with the help of the staff. But so thank you, Karen, and thank you, Mr. Kim, and welcome Shinji and Abigail.
Thank you again, the Ami, for present the new staff. And lastly, other business, may I invite BC to present the schedule for the development procedure of the 39th from CBC meeting for the revision of the council section. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Edie Gonzalez, for the heartwarming remarks. I am pleased to say that my journey with PEMSEA has been very promising, and it was indeed an honor to be able to serve the region, as my specialty is in coastal and marine sector. I look forward to pursue my postgraduate studies abroad, as well as pursue consultancies in environmental economics and environmental modeling, which are my areas of interest and expertise in the past years. As for the schedule for developing the proceedings of the 29th meeting, we plan on sending the draft conclusions and recommendations to the East Asian Partnership Council for review by November 3rd. We anticipate our Partnership Council members to submit their feedback on these draft conclusions and recommendations by December 2 to allow us to send the draft proceedings for review by December 6. December 13 is the target deadline for the Partnership Council to submit their feedback on each draft proceeding. December 14 will be the target date for circulating the final proceedings to the Partnership Council. Over to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for the development proceeding or process of the development proceeding. So I will move to the item or agenda item number 7 for the closing of the council and technical sections. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to on the major decisions we have accomplished today. Notably, the approval of the SDS SEA 2023 and 2027, which encapsulates our collective plans, programs, and actions in the next 5 years. Thank you to all those who have actively participated in deliberations and preparation of the plan. I hereby adjourn the council and the technical sections. We will be having the 5 minutes. We don't have because of the time. I think that we can have 5 minutes because we move to the intergovernmental section. We be chaired by Ms. Chen Dahu. Please be advised that only the country partners and EC members are requested to stay for the intergovernmental sections. Once again, thanks to for our non-country partners for joining us in the council and technical section. I also would like to thank our PRF, that the secretary for the very excellent organizing this meeting. I wish you all the best of our health and stay safe. So thank you very much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Shall we start now?
Yes, please, Madam Chair.
Yes, Madam Chair, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the intergovernmental session of the 29th PEMSEA EC meeting. It's a very pity that I can't join you at the PEMSEA headquarters. For this session, we have the 4 agenda items as presented on the screen. So yes, you can see that. For agenda item number 9, PRF shall present the updates on their 2022 to 2023 work plan and budget as detailed in document number EC 29, DOC 9 for review of the intergovernmental session. This will be followed by agenda item number 10, namely other business, before the closing of the 29th PEMSEA EC meeting. So, may I request the intergovernmental session to review this agenda? If anyone has any comments or suggestions, please raise your hand or the side to let me know. So, please. Okay. No hands up on the virtual meeting. I don't know if anyone raised their side on the meeting room.
There are also no objections from the meeting room, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So this agenda is approved. Thank you. We shall now proceed to agenda item number 9, specifically the updates on the 2022 to 2023 work plan and budget of the PRF. I would like to invite Ms. Amy Gonzalez, the Executive Director of PRF, to share this update. So, Amy, it's your floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. By way of a background, every executive committee and partnership council meeting, we normally present updates on the work plan and budget of the PEMSEA Resource Facility as your operating arm, technical and secretariat services for the PEMSEA as a partnership. Now, especially during the COVID pandemic, I was specifically asked by the executive committee to monitor what's going on in terms of our budget, because at that time we were having some delays in many of our plans for implementation, as well as delays in the approval or expected upcoming projects. So this is an update as of the last quarter of the year in terms of PEMSEA's budget and work plan up to next year as well. So if you recall, next slide please. If you recall, we have 3 objectives and targets for 2022 and 2023. First one is to secure PEMSEA's financial and operational sustainability for these 2 years between US dollars 1 to 2 million annually. And actually, the figure has been reduced. Normally, on average, we would have 2 to 3 million annually as expected revenues, but we specifically downgraded this in 2022 in the expectation that we may not be able to raise funds due to the COVID situation. 2A, I put here 2 because we are completing the implementation plan in the past 5 years. So we want to ensure that we deliver this last year of the adjusted implementation plan 2018 to 2022. And coming next year, we will be operationalizing year one of our SDSC implementation plan 2023-2027, which was presented by Nancy earlier at the technical session. And then a third objective and targets, although we don't really have numerical targets for this, is to secure strategic partnerships and other high-profile collaborative activities. So next slide, please. So insofar as 2022 and 2023 is concerned, this is our identified sources of revenue from the cost sharing arrangement and execution fees of projects, as well as expected project funds. For 2022, we achieved expected revenue of 1.9 million US dollars. So that is quite positive insofar as reaching our target objective for that year. In 2023, we are expecting more. And I am pleased to report that we may be able to even triple the expected sources of income, assuming that we get all the funding. We have some funds in yellow here because these are still being negotiated or in the process of approval. I mean, one of these is Indonesian cost-sharing arrangement. We have also the German government's Blue Solutions project, which is still under review. We haven't heard from them so far, but we expect hopefully by early next year that we would be able to secure some funding. We expect an ASEANO Phase 2 also, capacity building on marine litter, which had projects in Indonesia and the Philippines, which, and I understand that now that it would include Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia as partner countries, recipient. But the funds for ASEAN is bigger than what PEMSEA will be getting. PEMSEA is getting this $80,000 US as implementing agency just for the Philippine component. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've mentioned some of those projects in the pipeline already, ASEAN 2, which is still under review at the ASEAN Working Group on Coastal and Marine Environment. Many of you are members of this working group, so I hope that once it is tabled for approval or review, if you can favorably endorse ASEAN Part 2, because PEMSEA is a beneficiary also of that project. We have and we are expecting this official development assistance from the Republic of Korea to tackle marine litter with projects for the Philippines and Timor-Leste. We are waiting for the formal approval from the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea. It should come before the end of the year. At C3, I think you're familiar that we have this Arafura Timor Seas Ecosystems Action Project, which intends to have a regional governance mechanism and also its own regional strategy for the seas bounded by Indonesia, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, and Australia. And at C3 concept proposal is under development and will be put forward under JEF8 replenishment fund. Now, I put here the Ocean Investment Facility because this could be something that we could resume discussions. This is something that at the beginning of the year, I will be talking to you in bilaterals so that we could explain what are the possibilities and where are the sources of funding to have this type of facility, if it's something that countries would want to resume. This was a topic, an agenda item that was introduced in 2015 to 2017, and even 2018, but which had to be placed on a back seat because of some issues in terms of funding sources. At the time, the funds that we were expecting that would support this facility was not yet fully developed nor approved. Next slide, please. So in terms of the status of the SDSC Implementation Plan 2018 to 2022, in a nutshell and in terms of just a graphical sketch, we have met many of the targets for that program, for the various programs, and we have some in progress, but the glaring red is really in terms of the integrated river basin management, which we have has yet to be approved, and in terms of the ocean investment facility and fund. We would like to resume or put forward some of these programs or activities in the next SDSC Implementation Plan 2023 to 2027. Next slide, please. So the status of the implementation of Objective 3, which is about resource mobilization and partnership, we have the State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution of Hong Kong, which was designated through the EAS Partnership Council in July as a regional center of excellence, and they have joined the PEMSEA network of learning center. They have signed the charter. We have KATSU, Catanduanes State University, and De La Salle as part of a PEMSEA learning centers, and which just inducted earlier today. We have the province of Gorontalo, Indonesia, also, and a National Ocean Technology Center of the Ministry of Natural Resources of China as additional members of the PEMSEA network of local government, bringing the number of PEMSEA network of local governments from 18 to now 57. Now, some expected partnerships that will come into fruition during the first and second quarter of 2023 is that UNDP and PEMSEA will sign a partnership cooperation agreement for the Integrated River Basin Management Project. This is a long-awaited project, 5-year multi-country project. Not a lot of money, it's 8.9 million US dollars, but I think it will go a long way in terms of promoting the source to sea approach, which is an extension of integrated coastal management to integrated river basin management. Malaysia will be one of the partners of this integrated river basin management project. And in previous meetings, we have mentioned that we would really like to have Malaysia and Thailand to be, partners of PEMSEA. And they will not become formal country partner yet, but at least we have some collaborative activities with them. And this is significant because they will be with us for the next 5 years. We will renew partnership cooperation agreement with SIVA, CICIS, NIVA, and ASEAN Secretariat for the ASEAN 2 project. And we will also hopefully be able to sign an IMO and PEMSEA partnership cooperation agreement for the Blue Solutions project. I haven't added here, we are actually working on a draft partnership cooperation agreement with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries of Republic of Korea for the Marine Litter project. Next slide, please. So just to have a summary of the good news for 2023, we're starting next year as we come out of the pandemic slowly. We will be implementing the SDSC implementation plan for the next 5 years with the gender, equality, and social inclusion. There are positive movements on cost-sharing arrangement with PEMSEA country partners, with Vietnam also having their higher ups in the senior management of MONRE look into a cost-sharing arrangements for 2023 onwards. I just had a discussion with Dr. Moninit as well, and Minister of Cambodia will be receiving a letter from us also following up on a multi-year cost-sharing arrangement with PEMSEA. I mentioned already several projects that will start next year: integrated river basin management, the Blue Solutions project with the German government, the official development assistance on marine litter with the Republic of Korea. And so apart from the multilateral grants from UNDP and Jeff, we are actually getting more and more bilateral agreements with Germany, Norway, Republic of Korea, and hopefully some others. The draft at-sea Regional Strategic Action Program and Regional Governance Mechanism has been prepared and will also be deliberated next year, hopefully for a ministerial declaration sometime in 2024. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we're excited about with this integrated river basin management is that we will be creating integrated river basin management learning centers as a spin-off from the integrated coastal management learning centers. We will be starting the State of the River Basin Report development, also a spin-off from the State of the Coast reporting, and this will be the first in the region in terms of looking not only at the hydrological profile of rivers, but biological, socioeconomic, investments, policy development, strengthening governance, so that the country partners of that project will have an integrated river basin management plan as well. We will be resuming the face-to-face training, which we've enjoyed with the Republic of Korea for our non-country partners in the previous years. It stopped during COVID, unfortunately, but we will be having seawater quality training, marine debris training, citizen science, empowerment on marine litter, etc., etc. Stronger collaboration with key learning centers, EPB University in Indonesia, who will be our host of the PNLC starting in 2024. The State Key Laboratory on Marine Pollution, which are hosting regional training programs on marine pollution. There will be one on December 19, I think, and it's open to not only the learning centers, but also to our country partners. And then we will have a start of also face-to-face learning exchange amongst the PEMSEA network of local government. We should be convening a dialogue. This is a special a grant with the World Intellectual Property Organization and UNCTAD, looking at trade, technology, and environmental challenges in coast and ocean. So this partly supports what Nancy has mentioned in terms of promoting blue economy through the digitalization of the ocean. So interesting interface also. And then we have also started a discussion with COBSI on marine pollution or nature-based solutions. We haven't quite narrowed down the topic, but it will be one of them. So I think these are positive news starting next year. Next slide, please. Okay, just on the next step. So PEMSEA will initiate the recruitment process of project staff and also will rationalize PRF staff. That's a huge undertaking in terms of our current staffing. We are open for secondments as well. I mean, we already have one from Korea, but if any other countries wants their staff to be seconded to PEMSEA, that would really, we would welcome those. We are reviewing and finalizing the PEMSEA procurement guidelines, as some projects will require acquisition of technologies and equipment. Whereas before, we have only been procuring laptops and IT technologies. We will be doing more in terms of technologies. We will be reviewing MOAs and potential arrangement with other prospective partners and even existing partners. So for country partners, it would be good if we could clarify our relationship and communications between PEMSEA Resource Facility and official PEMSEA focal points vis-a-vis specific project focal points. In some instances, like Japan, where we have the Ministry of Land Infrastructure and Transport as the focal point for IMO and PEMSEA, it's easier because we deal with just one department. But with others, we will be dealing with multiple departments. And so it would be good if we can clarify relations and who will be our point of contact. I mean, will quarterly project updates suffice for MFPs? Do they have to be copied in all, or do they want to be invited in all meetings as well? So I think just for operational purposes and also to ensure that we have effective communications and engagement with the focal points. Because we really want to have our original focal points engage as much as possible. But if you want to delegate this, please tell us as well. Non-country partners also, they are not here anymore, but we will be talking to them bilaterally in terms of engaging them in any of our upcoming projects, as also not just on the projects, but particularly in the training and capacity development component of this project. Next slide. So the actions requested from the intergovernmental session is just to provide feedback, comments, and our questions on the shared status report, or if you have your own news to share as well, if in relation to the PEMSEA operations, and also any clarificatory questions that we pose to the country partners and especially the national focal points. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gonzalez, for your clear and comprehensive report. And now I would like to open the floor for comments or suggestions. To facilitate the discussion, I would like to call each country in alphabetical order to provide their comments or suggestions, if any, on the status report, as well as their response to the questions posted by the executive director. So the first one is Cambodia. The presentation from the representative from the Cambodian. If you have any comments or suggestions. If no, I would like to invite China. If you have any comments or suggestions.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I do have one question and one comment concerning Amy's report. So just now, Amy mentioned the work of the next step for PRF. So PRF will initiate the recruitment of project staff. So my question is, will the staff can only be recruited from the participating countries of the project, or can open to all the partners? So another comment is, since Amy mentioned most of the projects are multilateral and bilateral, so China participates in some of them. So actually, China is engaging some domestic projects funded by China. So also involved in the capacity building and training in the East Asia Sea region. So so we are willing to make some contributions to the multilateral or bilateral projects in this regard. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, China. I think it will be welcome to contribute other resources to the PEMSEA projects. And according to your question, I would like to ask Mr. Gonzalez to give your feedback. So please, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, China Representative Leon, on your question on the recruitment of project staff. So there are terms of references and postings in terms of the level of recruitment. There are postings for international, regional staff, and there are also postings for national staff. So it will depends on the requirement of the project. So those are made available on our website and also on our social media. But if the countries are interested to have a look, we could also provide it to the country partners. Normally, we would post it in the social media, our website, and also in our monthly bulletin. But we will be consciously, sharing this with country and non-country partners should there be any of interest as well. Thank you. And you had another point about China would like to offer or extend its assistance on some of the projects. I think we could conduct this discussion bilaterally, perhaps. I think there was some suggestion, for example, by the China PEMSEA Center, that there could be some interest in the integrated river basin management. There has been some development of river basin management plan, which could probably help inform the development of integrated river basin management plan in other countries. Those types of exchanges are very much welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And the next is Japan. May I invite Japan's representative to give your comments or suggestions?
Thank you, Chair. But sorry, I have no comment or no suggest. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next is Lao PDR. If you have any comments.
Madam Chair, I regret to inform you that due to technical difficulties, the representative from Lao PDR cannot log in back to Zoom. Perhaps we can call to the floor the representative of Indonesia from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Deputy Director Novi Farhani, to the floor.
Okay, thank you. So the next is Philippines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Amy, for the presentation, and this you gave us a clear direction where we're going for 2023. I don't know if I just missed these two items that I'd like to raise. Number one, since you have approved the implementation plan of the SDSC, I'd like to know whether there's or specific activities in terms of translating this plan into national implementation plan, and how we will really operationalize this SDSC implementation plan in 2023 onwards. My second point is, in the presentation, I noticed that and one of the things that I presented with the PEMSEA network of learning centers would be a conduct of a capacity building and formulation or updating of the training plan. So I'd like to know whether there will be also training needs assessment that will be undertaken by next year. And then third point, and I think this is more of a call or appeal to the PEMSEA country partners and non-country partners. Now, I think we're quite fortunate in the sense that the lockdown due to pandemic is easing down, and maybe it's also about time for PEMSEA to be very active in the ongoing discussions on climate change, biodiversity conservation, blue economy. So perhaps we can really engage each other in a more increasing our face-to-face interaction, and really put into work all those plans that we have carefully crafted, very beautifully, very comprehensive. So I hope we can really discuss how we can put them into action. We're very excited how PRN can be able to support Philippines in terms of operationalizing these plans. I know there is kind of budgetary constraints and we are waiting for new projects to come in, but perhaps this is the time also that we as PEMC members can start also contributing by maybe in the meantime that these projects are pending, maybe we can really stretch our own country funds so that we can really see each other more and come up with great discussions. If the national focal points, I understand, are quite high level and quite busy in their own work, maybe we can create some technical working groups that can really move these plans into action. So I'm really looking forward for more active pre-pandemic situation of the PEMC when we're all active, seeing each other and really interacting this time to address also our post-pandemic recovery actions, which are all directed to climate resilient development. Thank you.
And thank you for your very positive response and very helpful advice. So I would like to ask Mr. Gonzalez if you have any to respond to Philippines representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Undersecretary Te. Yeah, sure. All your comments are valid and well noted. In terms of the translation of the SDSC implementation plan for the next 5 years, next year, what we would like to do is to have an operational plan. So, for example, if you notice, Nancy's table covered like who's responsible in terms of the specific programs and activities. And so we would like to flesh that some more. Hopefully we can put some metrics there as well. Like so PEMSEA Resource Facility, for example, commits that many of its projects are going to be part of this SDFC implementation plan. And then we will have specific targets based on the what is committed under those projects. Now, country partners, I know that Indonesia, for example, have always translated the SDSC plan into their national SDSC plan. And part of the activities that we will be doing with Indonesia next year is to help them, support them in the translation of the SDSC implementation plan to a national SDSC plan. So if other countries would like to do so as well, I mean, we are willing to also provide support, and probably we can come up with some template as part of the operational plan. So countries on their own can also do it, but we are always here for the light touch also. Now, in terms of the capacity training plans that we will be working with the PEMSEA network of learning centers, yeah, that's well spotted. That's actually one of the things that we spoke about, that we will have a training needs assessment as well, because we may have a lot of these trainings identified in the projects per se, because that's where the funds are available, but there may be some other needs that some countries or many countries would like us to also respond and address. So yes, the training needs assessment it will be part of the work. Now, in terms of face-to-face meetings, we would hope so as well. I mean, this is a soft approach where we invited the chairs of both the council and the technical session here. Unfortunately, Madam Shen, due to the government policy, could not come. But hopefully next year, sometime around July, for our EAS Partnership Council, we will have more people in the room. We need volunteers from country also to host us. Yeah. So probably not just the Philippines, but some other countries we could go to. We were discussing with Vietnam. We probably need to continue that discussion again. I don't want to put Vietnam on the spot, but that was one of the issues that we have talked about in terms of fulfilling the cost sharing arrangement. Thank you very much, Over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, for your clarification. So I would like to give the floor to Timor Lester. Do you have any question or suggestion? If no, I will give the floor to Vietnam.
We would like to call to the floor Dr. Hang of the Vietnam Administration of Seas and Islands to the floor. The floor is yours, Dr. Hang. Dr. Hang, your microphone is on mute. In terms of time, Madam Chair, perhaps we can proceed with Indonesia. Their representative is in the meeting room, Deputy Director Novi Farhadi.
Okay. So I got the confirmed name list. The name list did not have the Indonesia, so the Indonesia's representative is online or on the meeting room.
Online, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I would like to give the floor to the representative from Indonesia. So do you have any comments or suggestions? Okay, I did not hear any voice. So all the countries have been invited to express their comments and suggestions. So I would like to go to the agenda item number 10 now. Agenda item number 10 is other business. So I would like to invite our countries to raise other pertinent items for discussion of the intergovernmental session if applicable. So is there any country, any representative to raise the pertinent items?
Madam Chair, there are no other business being raised by our country partners and EC members in the chat room and in the meeting.
Okay. So shall we go to the agenda item number 11? To formally adjourn the 29th Executive Committee meeting of PEMSEA, I would like to call on Attorney Jonas Leons, the Council Co-Chair, to deliver the closing remarks. Attorney Leons, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To our country partners, my fellow EC members, the PRF staff, of course, I would like to acknowledge the Executive Director of the PRF, Jaime Gonzalez, for the answers she gave during the question and answer for the work plan, budget, and financing. I'd like to also acknowledge the excellent chairing of our chair, Dr. Moninet, Dr. Furukawa. I'd like also to acknowledge Undersecretary Annalise Te, who happened to be the focal person of PEMSEA and representing the Philippine delegation. To all the participants in this session, a pleasant good afternoon to you all. First of all, I'd like to convey my sincere apology for not being physically present in this session. because I have to attend to a very important meeting as directed by our secretary. But as the newly elected council co-chair, I am deeply honored to co-lead PEMSEA in the years ahead. I have been exposed to PEMSEA's work since 2018 and have witnessed its evolution and contribution to the East Asia Sea region, implementing holistic management solutions and advancing the Blue Economy Framework as one of the pathways to sustainable development. During this meeting and in the past 4 months since the 14th Partnership Council meeting, I am pleased to note that PEMSEA has made a number of important strides to support the work towards healthy oceans, people, and economies. We achieved the end of plan targets or made significant achievements on majority of the components of the Sustainable Development Strategy for the Seas of East Asia Implementation Plan 2018-2022. We approved the SDSC IP 2023-2027. Gorontalo Province of Indonesia and the National Ocean Technology Center of the Ministry of Natural Resources of China were inducted as members of the PNLG, joining 55 others from 10 countries. The State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution of the City University of Hong Kong, Kim Il Sung University of DPR Korea, and the Catanduanes State University and the La Salle University, Das Marinas of the Philippines became members of the PNLC, joining 11 others from 7 countries. The members of the PNLC approved their operational plan for 2022 to 2026, including their plans on achieving financial sustainability. And IPB University formally announced its decision to host the PNLC Secretariat from 2024 onward. Starting December and the year 2023, we expect a number of additional milestones, some of which include the commencement of major regional projects, formal collaboration agreements with key countries, including Malaysia, to undertake major regional projects under the auspices of SDSC Implementation Plan 2023 to 2027. Joint activities with WIPO, UNCTAD, and PEMSEA, resumption of the face-to-face training, and more diverse rosters of funding for joint activities and PRF Secretariat operations. Council Co-Chair, I seek your strong commitment as we execute the SDSC Implementation Plan 2023-27 and continued support to ongoing and future projects with the PEMSEA Resource Facility. As part of the East Asian Seas region, may we work together towards effective governance, healthy ocean, healthy people, and healthy economy. I am grateful for the active participation of our partners in this meeting, the guidance provided by my fellow EC members, and the technical and secretariat support of the PRF in making this meeting possible. So without any other additional items in the agenda, subject to the comments of the chair and the action of the members, I am hereby adjourning this meeting. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Attorney Liang. Before I conclude this session, I would like to thank the PRF again for your great efforts for this meeting. And I also would like to thank all of you to joining this session. So thank you and look forward to meeting you next year.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we finally adjourn the meeting today, we would like to invite our participants to accomplish the feedback survey, whose link is being presented on the screen before you. This feedback survey is instituted as part of the quality management system of the PEMSEA Research Facility as the technical and secretariat arm of the East Asian Seas Partnership Council to help us gauge and monitor and evaluate our services in organizing and facilitating EC and things. Again, we would appreciate your feedback by answering this feedback survey on the screen. Thank you, everyone, and we finally adjourn this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Bye, Madam Chair.
Bye.
Bye bye.